Welcome back to Jackson Square. On yesterday, we learned about reciprocals. We actually saw that multiplying by the reciprocal of a fraction gave you the same results as dividing a fraction. So you can multiply by the reciprocal and get the same answer as if you divided. So when we're dealing with fractions, we actually don't divide fractions. We multiply by the reciprocal. Multiplication is very simple and easy. We multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator to get our answer, and we simplify. So if we can multiply by the reciprocal, why divide? So we like to say we don't divide fractions here. We multiply by the reciprocal. So let's jump in and do a few problems. I wanted you to see some different types of problems. So our first problem says 2/3 divided by 1/4. But again, why divide when we can multiply by the reciprocal? So when we say multiply by the reciprocal, that means the first fraction stays the same, the division symbol becomes multiplication, and the second fraction, we get the reciprocal. Getting the reciprocal, again, is when you are physically switching the numerator and denominator, and instead of A over B, you end up with B over A. So 1 out of 4 becomes 4 out of 1. Once we have physically switched the numerator and the denominator, we just multiply straight across. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. Now we notice that this is a improper fraction, so we want to make it a mixed number. Remember, we do that by TIBO, top in, bottom out. You would ask yourself, how many times can 3 go into 8? 3 times 3 is 9, so 2 would be our option. 2 times 3 is 6. I subtract. I have 2 as my remainder. What's my final answer? My final answer is going to be 2 2/3. I think I missed something on my second fraction when I wrote it down. I apologize, guys. I think this was maybe 1/4 again, and I didn't write it. So in the second example, so the first one was dividing a fraction by a fraction. This one we have a whole number being divided by a fraction. And it's the same just like in multiplication. You're going to assume that this 6 is actually over 1, that invisible 1. And instead of dividing, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to say 6 over 1 is being multiplied times what's the reciprocal of 1 out of 4, just like above, 4 out of 1. And then we will multiply straight across as normal. And we would actually end up with 24. So that was pretty easy, nothing to convert. And the second example, we have a fraction divided by a whole number, which again, we know is not a whole number. It's actually over 1. We multiply by the reciprocal. Notice how I keep saying multiply by the reciprocal. The multiplication symbol comes, then the reciprocal. Sometimes kids like to reciprocate both fractions. That is not what's happening here. The first fraction stays exactly the same. Division turns into multiplication, and then the reciprocal. The words say multiply by the reciprocal, and that's what I want you to do. Multiply by the reciprocal. Reciprocal comes after. So 15 over 1 becomes 1/15. We will multiply straight across. As normal to get our answer. We get 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 15 is 60. I apologize, guys. Throat is getting a little bit sore. So we have 3 out of 60. When I look at 3 out of 60, and I think this can be simplified. It can be simplified. The GCF would be 3. I can eyeball it. I know that 3, 6, 9. 6 is a multiple of 3, so 60 would also be able to be divided by 3. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 will go into 60 20 times. So our final answer would be 1/20th. Okay. Then last but certainly not least, what we have here is we have 9 and 2/6 divided by 6 and 1/2. So just like when we were multiplying fractions, the first thing we want to do is we want to convert these mixed numbers to improper fractions before we even try to do any multiplying by the reciprocal. So if you remember, you go in a clockwise direction here, here. So I'm going to write out the steps as much as I can for you guys so you can follow along with me. Grab another marker. So for this one, I would say 6 times 9, which will give me 54. Bring my 54 down. Plus 2 will give me 56. And remember, I keep the same denominator of 6. So this is my new improper fraction for that one. For the next one, I'm going to just make a space and go above. So again, I would do 2 times 6 gives me 12. Bring my 12 down to the next line. Plus 1 will give me 13. And my denominator stays the same, 13 halves. Okay? So these are our two new fractions. So what is my problem looking like now? So now my problem would actually say 56/6 divided by 13 halves. Okay? So this is this first and this is second. And then I want to multiply by the reciprocal. So that means 56/6 will stay the same. My division will turn into multiplication, and I will get the reciprocal of 13 halves, which is 2/13. Okay? Then you would multiply straight across as normal. As you guys get farther along, I will start to show you guys how to do the crossout method that I prefer to do to simplify this problem. But right now, we're just going to multiply straight across. So 56 times 2 looks like that will give me 112. And then 6 times 13 will give me 78. Because we converted our mixed numbers to improper fractions, now our answer, of course, is improper. So we want to take our answer back to mixed. And we're going to use TIBO, top number in, bottom out. I really should throw this mark in the trash. It never works. 112 divided by 78. So then we want to think about how many times can 78 go into 112? I know that 7 times 2 is 14, so I'm pretty sure that it can only go one time. You can do some side work and see what you get. I would say 178. I have to borrow, that becomes 0, that becomes 12, 8. That's a 4. Borrow from this, that becomes a 10. Right? 10 minus 7 is 3. So I have a remainder of 34. So my final answer is going to be, remember, quotient, remainder, divisor, 1 and 34, 78. And I think that 78 can definitely be simplified. I'm looking at 34 and I'm looking at 78. I know they can both be evenly divided by 2. So let's simplify those by 2. How do I know that? Because my divisibility rules tell me that if I look in the ones place and it ends in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, it can be evenly divided by 2. So these both have a even number in the ones place. So I know it can be divided by 2. 34 divided by 2 will give me 17. And 78 divided by 2 will give me 39. So my final answer is 1 and 17 39ths. So I hope that this was a great introduction for you guys in regard to dividing fractions. Of course, I'm going to give you a few practice problems similar to the ones that I worked in the video for you to work some out. So let me get those for you. So here are 4 practice problems. I want you guys to write these down. Remember that we multiply by the reciprocal. That means the division symbol becomes multiplication symbol, and the number right after the division symbol is the one we reciprocate. That means we're going to physically switch the numerator and the denominator. Then after you've done that, you multiply numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator to get your answer. Simplify if needed. Make improper mix if needed, and then simplify. Do what you know is necessary to get your final answer. So I want you guys to pause right now and practice these 4 problems, and then you can come back and check your work. Good luck. Welcome back. How was it? I hope it wasn't too difficult. I hope that it was easy peasy lemon squeezy because you've been practicing with multiplying fractions. So just multiplying by the reciprocal is not that difficult. Hopefully you remember to change the division symbol to multiplication and only to reciprocate the second fraction. It's always the second fraction, okay? Multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal comes after. So I've taken the liberty to go ahead and work these problems in advance. So you can pause here and check your answers to see if they match up with mine. I also did throw in some cancellation on A and D. Canceling ahead of time before you multiply simplifies your answer a tad bit so you're not working with such big numbers. So here I divided 2 and 4 by 2. 2 went into 2 one time and 2 went into 4 2 times. So then you just multiply 2 times 6 instead of 4 times 6. And then here I also divided 14 and 16 by 2 as well. And I got 7 and 8, which helped me to simplify my answers and make them a tad bit quicker. So again, pause and check your work. If you have any questions or comments, if I made a mistake, comment below. Let me know. If you are interested in seeing more of this cancellation method, please comment below and I will do a special video on that or attach one if you think that that's something you're interested in. So again, I hope that this helped you with dividing fractions, yet multiplying by the reciprocal, and that you are having just a great day. And we're going to practice some more, of course. So good luck.